When the number of moles of the gas is less, obviously the volume also will be less. Krypton is a gas, activated charcoal is a solid. The number of moles of NaOH and number of moles of OH minus ion are equal because one molecule will give one OH minus ion. So along the period, we know the first ionization enthalpy increases along the period. Hello my dear students, I am Priyanka Rajaram from Vidyashram PU College, Temple of Excellence. Today I shall solve Karnataka CET 2011 question paper for you all. So in part A, I shall solve 20 questions. The first question is, which one of the following statement is false? Yaudu tappu statement anta kelta idare. Option A, during roasting moisture is removed from ore. Option B, ore is freed from almost all non-metallic impurities. Option C, calcination of ore is carried out in the absence of any blast of air. Option D, concentration of zinc blend is subjected to calcination during its extraction by pyrometallurgy. So, which statement is the false statement is the question. If you see the first one, during roasting, moisture is removed, that is exactly right. The ore is freed from almost all non-metallic impurities is correct. Calcination of ore is carried out in the absence of any air, that is also right. The concentrated zinc blend is ZnS, is subjected to calcination. It is wrong, it is subjected to roasting. Okay, so option D is the statement which is incorrect or which is false. Okay, so we'll see the next question. Which one of the following sets of quantum numbers represent the highest energy level in an atom? So if you have to see the highest energy level, which rule you have to apply? It is N plus L rule, isn't it? So we'll have to add up the N values and L value and see which is the highest energy level. So option A, we have N is equal to 4, L is equal to 0. So N plus L is 4 plus 0, that is equal to 4. Option B, N plus L is equal to 4. Option C, N plus L is equal to 5, that is 3 plus 2 is 5. And option D, N plus L, that is 3 plus 0 is equal to 3. So which has the set of quantum numbers in which N plus L value is highest? It is option C, where N is equal to 3 and L is equal to 2, that is 5. So this set of quantum numbers has the highest energy level. Okay, so option C is the correct answer. We'll see the next question. When O2 is converted to O2 plus, option A, both paramagnetic character and bond order increases. Option B, bond order decreases. Option C, paramagnetic character increases. Option D, paramagnetic character decreases and the bond order increases. So it is all about the bond order and the magnetic property. Now what is getting converted to what? O2 is getting converted to O2 plus. How will we tell about the magnetic property? There is a shortcut, that is, you have to count the number of electrons which is present. In oxygen, the number of electrons is 16 electrons, and in O2 plus 1 electron is lost, so it is 15 electrons, isn't it? Now, when odd number of electrons are there, it is paramagnetic. But even if 16 is even number, still it is paramagnetic. That is the exception which you remember. So both are paramagnetic itself. But what about the bond order? Bond order, see, when it is 14 electrons, bond order is 3. So for 16, bond order is 2. So 15 falls in between 14 and 16. So the bond order is 2.5. This is bond order. So what exactly is happening? So what is option A? We'll see both paramagnetic character and bond order increases. No, bond order increases, that is right, but paramagnetic character is actually decreasing. You can see 16 electrons to 15 electrons, so that means the number of unpaired electrons is lesser, isn't it? So paramagnetic character is decreasing here, not increasing. So option A is wrong. Bond order decreases, that's wrong. Paramagnetic character increases, that's wrong. So obviously option D should be right. Paramagnetic character decreases, absolutely right. And bond order increases, absolutely right. So I hope you have understood. We'll see the next question. The chromite ore, the oxidation number of iron and chromium are respectively +3 and +2, +3 and +6, +2 and +6, +2 and +3. What is chromite ore? That is FeO dot Cr2O3, or we will also write it as FeCr2O4, but actually it is present like this, that is FeO dot Cr2O3. What is the oxidation number of iron in FeO? It should be +2 because oxide is -2, correct? No. So what is the oxidation number of chromium? If I completely solve this, is 2x is equal to 6, x is equal to +3. So it is +2 and +3. So which is the correct option? It is option D. Okay. Next question. The number of naturally occurring p block elements that are diamagnetic is. Naturally occurring diamagnetic means they should have no unpaired electron at all. And in p block element, in group 18, that is the noble gases, we have no unpaired electron in the valence shell, correct? No, they have all completely filled orbitals. So which are those? That is helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many naturally occurring diamagnetic substances are there? It is 5. Rest all of them have unpaired electrons. Okay. So we'll see the next question. If the energies of two photons are in the ratio 3:2, their wavelength will be in the ratio of 9:4, 2:3, 1:2, 3:2. So we have to see the ratio of their wavelength. So what have they given here? They have given the ratio of their energies, that is 3:2. We are supposed to find out the ratio of their wavelength of the two photons. Okay. So we know that E is equal to hc by lambda, that is the energy of the photon. So I'll take the ratio as E1 is to E2. So this is hc by lambda 1 is to hc by lambda 2. hc gets cancelled. So it will be 1 by lambda 1 is equal to 1 by lambda 2, which I'll take it on the other end to get it onto the numerator. Now this ratio is, energy ratio is what? It is equal to 3:2. That means lambda 2 is 3, lambda 1 is 2. So lambda 1 is to lambda 2, it will be 2:3. So this is the ratio of the wavelengths of the two photons. So the answer is option B, that is 2:3. Okay. Next question. Which one of these is not true for benzene? Option A, there are 3 carbon-carbon single bonds and 3 carbon-carbon double bonds. Option B, it forms only one type of monosubstituted product. Option C, the bond angle between carbon-carbon bond is 120 degree. Option D, heat of hydrogenation of benzene is less than the theoretical value. So they are asking which is not true. If you see the first statement itself, that is there are 3 carbon-carbon single bonds and 3 carbon-carbon double bonds. This is not true at all because they have partial double bond character due to resonance or delocalization of pi electrons. Thus, they do not have completely 3 carbon-carbon single bonds and 3 carbon-carbon double bonds. They have partial double bond character. Okay, so option A is the statement which is wrong. We'll go to the next question. Eighth question. Generally, the first ionization energy increases along a period, but there are some exceptions. The one which is not an exception is A. Sodium and magnesium, B. Beryllium and boron, C. Nitrogen and oxygen, D. Magnesium and aluminium. So what they are asking, which one is not an exception for the increase in first ionization energy along the period. So along the period, we know the first ionization enthalpy increases along the period. We all know that. But for this particular property also, there are some exceptions. For example, if I take nitrogen and oxygen, nitrogen has got higher ionization enthalpy than oxygen. But oxygen comes after nitrogen. So oxygen should have had higher ionization enthalpy. But nitrogen is having higher. Why? Because of half-filled orbitals of nitrogen. So similarly, there are some exception. Okay, so there are 4 options given. Out of the 4, which one is not an exception at all? See, this is an exception for this rule. That's correct. Beryllium and boron is also correct. Magnesium and aluminium also is correct. That is an exception for this particular property. Sodium and magnesium is not an exception for this particular property. Okay, so option A is the correct answer. Ninth question. Out of the given 2 compounds, the vapor pressure of B at a particular temperature is option A lower than that of A, option B higher than that of A, option C same as that of A, option D higher or lower than A depending on the size of the vessel. So what is it? 2 compounds are given. The vapor pressure of B at a particular temperature is. So they are asking about the details about the vapor pressure of B. See, here we have para-nitrophenol and orthonitrophenol. And in orthonitrophenol, what is there? There is a intramolecular hydrogen bonding. Whereas, if you consider para-nitrophenol, there is intermolecular hydrogen bonding. So this one's boiling point is more than the other, or I can tell B, that is orthonitrophenol, is more volatile. What is it? It's more volatile. So when it is more volatile, which one will be having higher vapor pressure? Obviously B will having higher vapor pressure. Vapor pressure also will be high because it is volatile. So B will have a higher vapor pressure that particular, any particular temperature than that of A. So option B is correct. B has higher vapor pressure than that of A. Okay. So that's about question number 9. Next question. Increasing order of carbon-carbon bond length for the following is C2H4. You have double bond in C2H4. C2H2 has got triple bond. C6H6 is nothing but benzene ring. And C2H6 is single bond. So they are asking increasing order of carbon-carbon bond length. So one thing what we have to understand here is, when there is a single bond, then the bond is longer. When there are multiple bonds, then the bond becomes shorter because of the p orbitals which are overlapping to form the double bond. Okay, so here we have all carbon-carbon single bond. Actually the value is 1.54 angstrom, which is having the highest bond length. Then coming to carbon-carbon double bond, that is 1.34 angstrom, and triple bond, when it is present, it is still smaller. Okay, so it is 1.1, and this is in between the double bond and the single bond because it is having partial double bond character. So it is 1.39 angstrom. So which is having the highest bond length? or which is having the lowest one? The lowest one is option B. Option B, it can be option A or C here. Okay, option B is having the lowest, then comes A, correct? So this should be the correct answer. B, A, then comes C, and then highest bond length is in D. So it is option C which is the right answer. Okay. 11th question. A mixture of calcium chloride and sodium chloride weighing 4.44 grams is treated with sodium carbonate solution to precipitate all the calcium ion as calcium carbonate. The calcium carbonate so obtained is heated strongly to get 0.56 grams of calcium oxide. So percentage of NaCl in mixture is. So what is it? We have calcium chloride and sodium chloride mixture which is weighing 4.44 grams. Now it is treated with what? Sodium carbonate. All the calcium chloride, what is there? What is it? Calcium chloride, what is there? Got precipitated as calcium carbonate, CaCO3. Okay. Further, calcium carbonate was heated strongly to get 0.56 grams of calcium oxide. So this was heated strongly to get calcium oxide. Okay, we got 0.56 grams of calcium oxide was obtained. So now we have to find out the percentage of NaCl in the mixture. Okay, so first we have to find out what is the mass of calcium chloride which was there, so that we can find out the percentage of NaCl, because NaCl and calcium chloride are mixed and the weight is 4.44 grams, isn't it? So we have to go in the reverse order now. See, if 0.56 grams of calcium oxide was obtained, then the molecular mass of calcium oxide is 56 grams. Okay, which is obtained from 100 grams, that is the molecular mass of calcium carbonate. Okay, so 56 grams of calcium oxide we will obtain from 100 grams of calcium carbonate. So I've got 0.56 grams. How much of calcium carbonate is present? So calcium carbonate which is present is 100 into 0.56 divided by 56. So this will be equal to 1 gram, correct? So this is 1 gram. Now again reverse order I will go. That is, the molecular mass of calcium chloride is 112 grams. So 100 grams of calcium carbonate was obtained from 112 grams of calcium chloride. So 1 gram of calcium carbonate I have. How much calcium chloride will be present? So the mass of calcium chloride which is present is 1 into 112 divided by 100. That is nothing but 1.12 grams. So now I have come to the conclusion that calcium chloride mass is 1.12 grams. Now the total mass, that is NaCl plus CaCl2 mass is 4.44. So just mass of NaCl, that is mass of NaCl is 4.44 minus 1.12, that is 3.32. So now I will find out the percentage of sodium chloride. How to find out the percentage? That is, the mass of sodium chloride is 3.32, out of how much? 4.44 into 100 if I do, I'll get the percentage which is nothing but 75%. So the answer is option B, that is 75%. So I hope you have understood. Calcium chloride will give calcium carbonate to calcium oxide. We have taken its molecular mass and the mass which was there, and we have gone in the reverse order to find out about the mass of calcium chloride. Then calcium chloride plus sodium chloride is 4.44. So we found out the mass of sodium chloride. Then we have calculated the percentage. Okay. So I hope you have understood this problem. Next question. 50 cm cube of 0.2 normal HCl is titrated against 0.1 normal NaOH solution. The titration was discontinued after adding 50 cm cube of NaOH. The remaining titration is completed by adding 0.5 normal KOH. The volume of KOH required for completing the titration is 10 cm cube, 12 cm cube, 16.2 cm cube, 21.0 cm cube. So in this question, what exactly we have? We have 50 cm cube of 0.2 normal HCl which was titrated against 0.1 normal NaOH. The titration was discontinued after adding 50 cm cube. So what I am going to take is for NaOH. I know the normality. N1 I will take, that is 0.1, and V1 how much was added? 50 cm cube was added. But I don't know how much of the HCl is still remaining which is unreacted. Okay. So what I will do is for HCl I'll take N2, that is 0.2, but what is the volume which is remaining after reacting with 50 cm cube of NaOH? I don't know, I'll have to find out. Next, for KOH solution, I'll have to take N3 is 0.5 normal, V3 we don't know. So first we will find out V2, that is N1 V1 is equal to N2 V2. Therefore, V2 is equal to N1 is 0.1 into 50 divided by 0.2. This answer will be 25 cm cube. Okay. Next, now I'll take the relation N2 V2 is equal to N3 V3. Okay, so we have to find out V3. So N2 is 0.2, V2 I have got it as 25 divided by N3 is 0.5. So if we solve this, I'm going to get it as 10. So it is 10 cm cube. Option A is the right answer. Okay. 13th question. The RMS velocity of hydrogen is root 7 times the RMS velocity of nitrogen. If T is the temperature of the gas, which of the following is true? Tn2 is equal to Th2, Th2 is equal to root 7 Tn2, Tn2 is equal to 2 times Th2, or Tn2 is equal to root 7 Th2. So we will solve this. It's about RMS velocity. So I'll take it as ratio CH2 by Cn2, that is RMS velocity of hydrogen by nitrogen, is square root 7 times more of than that of nitrogen. So it is equal to square 7. Okay, square root of 7. So what is the RMS velocity? If I write it like this, Th2 by 2, again instead of division I'll already reciprocate and write molecular mass of nitrogen is 28 by Tn2. Okay, so this will be 14, 7, square and square gets cancelled. So we will get it as Th2 by Tn2 is equal to 7 and this is 14. Okay, so the 7 ones are 7 twos are. So therefore Tn2 is equal to 2 times Th2. So which is the correct option? Tn2 is equal to 2 times Th2. Option C is absolutely right. So I hope you have understood how to solve this. Next question. 25 grams of each of the following gases are taken at 27 degrees Celsius and 60 millimeter pressure. Which one will have the least volume? HBr, HCl, HF, HI. So how much of it is taken? 25 grams of each of the following gases is taken at 27 degrees Celsius and 600 millimeter of pressure. So temperature is constant, pressure is constant. Okay, and the mass also is how much? 25 grams. So which one will have the least volume? First, we have to see which has got the least number of moles. When the number of moles of the gas is less, obviously the volume also will be less. So how do you get it? For calculation of number of moles, you get mass by molecular mass. But here it is all hydrogen halides. Among the hydrogen halides, which has got the highest molecular mass? Hydrogen iodide, isn't it? Because of iodine. Yes. So hydrogen iodide is having the highest mass. So number of moles is what? Mass by molecular mass. Now when the molecular mass increases, the number of moles decreases. Correct? No, because they are inversely proportional. So obviously hydrogen iodide should have less number of moles or least number of moles. So that will occupy the least volume. Okay, so the answer is hydrogen iodide. Fine. 15th question. The amount of heat evolved when 500 cm cube of 0.1 molar HCl is mixed with 200 cm cube of 0.2 molar NaOH is 1.292 kilojoules, option B 2.292 kilojoules, option C 0.292 kilojoules, option D 22.9 kilojoules. So we have to find out what is the amount of heat evolved when 500 cm cube of 0.1 molar HCl is mixed with 200 cm cube of 0.2 molar NaOH. So first we will find out the number of moles of H plus ion and OH minus ion. Why? Because we have to know what is the heat of neutralization or what is the heat which is liberated, isn't it? So first I will find out the number of moles of H plus ion. So H plus ion number of moles is molarity into volume in liters. That is the number of moles of HCl. Number of moles of HCl will be equal to number of moles of H plus ion. Okay. So molarity is 0.1, volume in liters 500 cm cube liters anta helidre it is 0.5. So this is 0.05. Next we are going to calculate the number of moles of OH minus. That is nothing but molarity into volume of NaOH. The number of moles of NaOH and number of moles of OH minus ion are equal because one molecule will give one OH minus ion. Okay, so again it's the same formula, M into volume in liters. So molarity is 0.2 into volume is 200, that is 0.2. So 0.2 into 0.2 is 0.04. Now which the number of moles are less, that is OH minus ion. So 0.04 moles of OH minus has neutralized 0.04 moles of H plus ion. Some moles of H plus ion are remaining unreacted because there is no OH minus. So we know that when 1 mole of H plus ion and OH minus ion are neutralized, the amount of heat liberated is 57.3 kilojoules. So now I have only 0.04 moles. How much? So 57.3 into 0.04 is nothing but 2.293 kilojoules per mole is the amount of heat evolved. So which is the correct option? It is option B, which is the right answer. Okay. We'll see the next question, that is the enthalpy of vaporization of benzene is plus 35.3 kilojoule per mole at its boiling point of 80 degrees Celsius. The entropy change in the transition of vapor to liquid in its boiling point is dash in joule per mole per Kelvin. We need the answer. Okay, so option A is minus 100, option B is plus 100, option C is plus 342 and option D is minus 342. So formula is delta S is equal to delta H by T and temperature should be in Kelvin scale. So it is 80 plus 273, that is nothing but 353. Okay. So what is delta H? That is enthalpy of vaporization. So delta H vaporization is 35.3 kilojoules by temperature is 353. This is nothing but 0.1 kilojoules. So delta S is 0.1 kilojoules. I want it in joules per mole per Kelvin. So it is 0.1 into kilo means 10 to the power 3 joules. That is nothing but 100 joules per mole per Kelvin. So delta S after calculation we have got it as 100 joule per mole per Kelvin. But what is the question? Read it carefully. The entropy change in transition of vapor to liquid. So here what we have calculated is for vaporization. Now vapor to liquid state means it should be with the opposite sign. So it is minus 100 kilojoule per mole per Kelvin. So option A is the correct answer, not option B. Okay. So we'll see the next question. Based on the first law of thermodynamics, which one of the following is correct? For an isothermal process, Q is equal to plus W. Option B, for an isochoric process, delta U is equal to minus Q. Option C, for an adiabatic process, delta U is equal to minus W. For a cyclic process, Q is equal to minus W. So they are asking based on first law of thermodynamics, which one of the following is correct? So according to first law of thermodynamics, delta U is equal to Q plus W. But for cyclic process, if you see, okay, delta U is equal to 0. So it becomes Q is equal to minus W. So option B is the right one, not the others. Okay. Next question. Consider the following gaseous equilibria with equilibrium constant K1 and K2 respectively. For this equilibrium constant is K1, for this equilibrium constant is K2. We need to find out the relation between K1 and K2 by looking into the equation. What I will do is equation 1 I will multiply into 2. So this will become square, K1 square agutte. Correct? When I multiply, the constant will be squared. Next what we have to do? I'll reverse the equation. Now it will become 2SO3, okay, and 2SO2 gas plus O2 gas. So when I reverse the equation, what it became? 1 by K1 square. Now I have to relate these two. Now you can see it is the same equation, isn't it? Both are same equations. After I multiplied into 2 and squared, it became same as the second equation. Thus, I can tell that 1 by K1 square is equal to K2, or I can put it as K1 square is equal to 1 by K2. Okay. So, this is the relationship between K1 and K2. You can see option B is the right answer. Okay. Next question. During the adsorption of krypton on activated charcoal at low temperature, delta S is less than 0 and delta S is less than 0. Delta H is greater than 0, delta S is less than 0. Delta H is greater than 0, delta S also is greater than 0. Delta H is less than 0 and delta S is greater than 0. So what is happening? Adsorption of krypton. Krypton is a gas, activated charcoal is a solid. So during adsorption, delta H is always negative and delta S is also negative. So both should be less than 0. Which option both are less than 0? You can see delta H is less than 0, delta S is also less than 0. Option A is the right answer. Okay, we'll go to the next question. For the reversible reaction AB giving C plus D, delta G is minus 350 kilojoule. Which one of the following statement is true? Option A, the reaction is thermodynamically non-feasible. Option B, the entropy change is negative. Option C, equilibrium constant is greater than 1. Option D, reaction should be instantaneous. So they have given it as a reversible reaction and all are gases. So what will be Kp value? See, delta G is negative and all are gases, 2 moles and 2 moles, 2 minus 2, 0. So Kp will be greater than 1. Okay. So equilibrium constant is greater than 1 is absolutely right answer. So option C is the correct answer for the 20th question. Thank you, my dear children. Next 20 questions I shall solve in part D of Karnataka CET 2011 chemistry question paper. Thank you. Stay tuned. Stay focused.